botanical garden there. This interesting stack of wood. I'm not exactly sure what it's for. I mean, it's a stack of wood, but it's also, yeah, they built it in like a interesting way. And okay, and this is what I wanted to talk about. The United Nations, right? I've been talking about Geneva for an hour and 20 minutes now, and I have not mentioned the United Nations yet. So here we go. United Nations, as you know, it's. I mean, do I have really to tell you about the United Nations? Yeah, maybe let's ask our co-host, ChatGPT. Oh, session has expired, apparently. Let's sorry. Let's log back in, and while I do that, yeah, United Nations. Please tell me in a short paragraph about the history of the United Nations. Okay. And let's read it out loud here. Yes.
The United Nations is an international organization founded on October 24, 1945, after World War II, with the aim of promoting peace, security, and cooperation among nations. It was established to replace the ineffective League of Nations and to prevent future conflicts. The UN Charter, signed by 51 countries, laid out its principles and structure, which includes the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. Over the years, the UN has played a crucial role in addressing global challenges, such as decolonization, human rights, humanitarian aid, environmental issues, and sustainable development. Despite facing limitations and criticism, the UN remains a vital platform for multilateral diplomacy and collective action to tackle pressing global issues.
All right. So that's a little bit from our co-host ChatGPT about the UN. And I want to say this, and I actually made this TikTok video from the UN when I was there, or not from inside the UN, because you can't go inside. There's a lot of security, and they don't just allow people randomly inside. There are tours, I think, but I didn't take one. And so this is from outside the United Nations, but it's this big, and you can see this row of flags, which basically has, I believe, all the flags of all the countries in the world there, and you can see the United Nations here. And I said it in a TikTok. I think the UN has definitely seen a lot of criticism over the years, that it's kind of ineffective, inefficient, maybe influenced by kind of wrong influences, and it is problematic. Like, right, we just heard from ChatGPT. It's been around since 1945. That's not so long ago, actually. That's about what is it, 78 years, I believe. It's not even a century. It's not even a century that this organization has been around. And just think about how sort of crazy it must be, because there's about, I think, somewhere around the number of 200 nations in the world, 200 countries, somewhere around that number, maybe a little more, a little less. Um, and just think about how crazy it is. And all these countries are very different, right? Because we have like Western democratic countries, but we also have Eastern democratic countries, and we also have countries that are kind of autocracies, and maybe some of them are straight dictatorships, and maybe some of them are monarchies, especially in like the Gulf states and all that. And there's socialist countries in Latin America. And it's really, think of how crazy it must be to have like a body that is supposed to bring all of these people together. So I'm not saying it's without its faults. it's false. And for sure, like, my perception of the UN has not always been positive, to be honest with you. To be perfectly honest with you. But all that being said, I think there is, like, when you look at the UN, I think it should be with, I'll say, kind of forgiving eyes in some aspects, because I have met people actually who worked in the UN before, and they basically told me something along the lines of like, yes, it's very difficult to actually do anything where you have so many countries very different from each other altogether trying to get somewhere and make some sort of decisions about things that are relating to the future of the entire globe, basically the entire earth. But at least we're trying. At least it's something that is, it's being attempted, and maybe it's not always successful, but it's at least it's being attempted. And I'm gonna go back to what I said before about this idea of peace and this idea of, I think we're inevitably, or not really inevitably, but we are headed towards a global society, and we must get there. Once again, we have to fight for it, but we must get there because it's the only way, the way I see it, it's the only way to have like long lasting peace for humanity, which of course is going to be good for everyone. Once again, the peace dividend and all that, is to create a global society where people can still have their individual countries, right? They can still have their individual cultures and traditions and languages and all that. It's good. I think it's actually great that it is that way. This variety of the world is amazing. I think it's one of the things that make our species, the human species, right, so kind of strong and flourishing and creating all this very complex, interesting society that we've created. And in order to preserve it, we need to have a global society, and we need to have a society where people can be individuals in their own countries with their, once again, their own everything, cultures, traditions, languages, and all that, but still be aware that they are part of. If you contribute to the problem more or less, the consequences are gonna hit you, because they're gonna hit the entire world. And we're not gonna get into that subject. That's a whole other can of worms. So, and at least in places like the UN, it's being attempted, right? And once again, it's not a very old idea. Think about it. Recorded, let's say, not even the human species, just recorded history has been around for what? A couple of thousands of years, right? However, this idea of a global society in the United Nations is 78 years old. That's not a lot of time. It's a very, very short amount of time. It's still very young. And I think in many places people still aren't used to it. Also, until the internet came, there was really no way of getting to the state where we are now, where you can be completely inundated every single day with thousands of news items from around the world, which I think most people who live in this day and age find kind of overwhelming, but that's another subject. My point is, this is all coming back to this thing of we're not used to being a global society. We're just beginning to get used to it, hopefully, because I do think it's a good thing. And I do think we will grow more and more and more used to it, and used to this idea of being a global society at peace. But right now, this idea is very new, so please look at the UN with forgiving eyes. Even if you have some criticism, it's still a place that I'm at least happy that exists. It's an interesting sculpture called Fire by Christian Gonzenbach, and it's basically a kiln, I believe. My mom is a potter, and she will probably. I mean, no, but I think this is what it is, because It's like a very old form of doing a kiln, but I believe there are ways where it's still being done. But this is not an actual kiln; it's just a sculpture. But very cool sculpture, nonetheless. This is another sculpture. I'm not exactly sure what of. Oh, and there's another sculpture that I wanted to show. Oh, okay. This is, of course, Mahatma Gandhi. And I took another picture here by the UN sign, just because why not? And this is something, this is like a tent that is pitched outside of the UN, and they are protesting, or rather, I guess maybe supporting the independence of Kurdistan. Um, I thought I would have more time to get into it. I'm probably not going to have, and also I'm not at all an authority on the subject, so I don't want to just talk bullshit. But from what I know about Kurdistan and the Kurdish people are currently the biggest people in the world that don't yet have like a independent sovereign nation of their own. So they are spread around the areas of what is today Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And they have a very different society than any of those societies, but they still don't have their own state. And there's a lot of people who are very, well, they want Kurdish independence. And, you know, from what I heard about Kurdish people, they probably deserve it. I think in general, anyone that wants to be independent deserves to be independent. Um, that's a whole other subject. But yeah, I wanted to take this picture of this protest tent for the independence of Kurdistan. Maybe one day it'll come to pass and it'll happen. That would be very interesting. Um, I wanted to show you. Wait, yes, this sculpture right here, which is outside of the UN building. It's a huge chair with one leg broken, and yeah, see it. And then, sort of the explanation: the broken chair by Daniel Burset is against the use of armed violence on civilians. Broken chair is a symbol of both fragility and strength, precariousness and stability, brutality and dignity, originally conceived by Handicap International with the aim of urging nations to ban anti-personnel mines in 1997 and cluster munitions in 2008. Broken chair is an ongoing symbol of the desperate cry of war-torn civilian populations. Broken Chair is a reminder to the world nations to protect and aid our civilian victims. It invites each one of us to denounce that which is unacceptable, to stand up for the rights of individuals and communities, and call for their rightful compensation. Enough said, right? I can talk a lot more about that, but I want us to get to the end of the stream here. So, um, once again, just one of those consequences of war and why peace is so important, because in war, especially nowadays, it's civilians who get hurt, civilians who have never done anything to hurt anyone, who just have their normal lives, and now they're getting hurt or killed, or they have their family members killed because there's a war going on between countries, politicians, but they suffer, the civilians suffer. It's important to remember. Okay, I think we are getting to the end of the album of Geneva here. Some more pictures. Yeah. Okay. And now we're getting to the last place that I've been to. So, in one of the concerts that I mentioned before, I also met some more friends of friends and got connected to some people. And I met this guy, Matthew. And when I talked to him and asked him what he does, he told me that he actually operates a farm and lives in it, of course, as well. And that farm is like in the surrounding area of Geneva, and it's actually right on the border. Remember, I told you at the beginning that Geneva is completely surrounded by France. Then it's right on the border between France and Switzerland, and this farm is called Jardin du Nantes. Les Jardins du Nantes. Hope once again I'm pronouncing this right, but you can see the name right here. And I went to visit his farm because I was very interested, and this is the last thing that we're gonna talk about. So this is just the way to the farm. So it's like 30 minutes from Geneva in public transportation, which is of course great once again. But you get to this place which is completely outside of the city. Like place is really rural, and it was very interesting to see. You see, it's just like it looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but believe it or not, it's just like 20-30 minutes train ride from the center of Geneva. Sorry, bus ride. This is the gate, Les Jardins du Nord, and this is like the clubhouse where they have a bunch of volunteers. They were just eating lunch when I arrived. It's very beautiful, very peaceful. People sitting and eating and smoking, and two girls playing chess there on the grass. And this is the house. So the farm is owned by the parents of this guy, Matthew, and they've been working on it for a long time. And then Matthew is now sort of taking a lot of the operations on him. They dry a lot of stuff there. I mean, I'm gonna show you some of a video interview that I made with Matthew, so he's gonna explain everything better than I am. I'm just gonna. Okay, actually, I think because this is, and now we have, yeah, this is the last. These are the last pictures from Geneva. So I'm gonna switch right away to the to the interview with Matthew. So let's go and do that. And once again, this is completely unedited. You're going to see the sort of preview, because what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have my video editor edit everything, edit this interview, and then there's probably gonna be like a 4 or 5 minutes video that I'm gonna publish to YouTube about this farm, because it was a really cool place, which also kind of reflected a lot of the values that I believe in, like sustainable farming and self-sufficiency. Yeah, so, but here I'm just going to show some of the raw material. I'm not going to show all of it. It's very long. I made like 45-50 minutes of interview. I'm just going to show bits and pieces of it. Also, Matthew is building his own tiny house, which if you've been following me, you know I like that kind of stuff. I like the nomad community. I like the alternative lifestyle community. So yeah, without further ado, here is Matthew from Les Jardins du Nord.
Yeah.
Of course,
So,
it's a video.
Basically, we just went through the park area of
yeah.
Of the garden.
Cool.
So this is where we sometimes rent that place, this area for weddings or big events.
Yeah.
Like that. So we basically either we rent the local we were in before, just for like small stuff. Either we rent the whole park area, and there's also this area, which is our pool area, which is where we do our events, our pizza and culture events. I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a whole place. We still want to add a lot of stuff here, so it's far from being finished, but it already changed quite a bit in the past few years. So we have our pizza oven, we have our fireplace where we can do some barbecue, the pool area.
Yeah.
It's a nice area just to chill. Generally, when we have our evenings with our roofers and workawayers, we just chill here, make a fire, play some games, have a think ping pong session, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, just the chill area, let's say.
And how long have you had work away?
2 years. We
2
started
years?
last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we started last year. We weren't really sure how it was gonna work for us.
Okay.
And it turned out to being an incredible experience.
Really?
We met a lot of beautiful people. It helped us out a lot in the garden. It made a huge difference. Yeah, so I'm going to skip ahead obviously a little bit. As I said, this is very long, but he's talking about the workaway, which is volunteers that are coming basically to stay on the farm and help with everything. Let's see, I think there's a place where he talks Spring,
about...
we fill it up with all our seeds, all our little small plants before we plant them in the garden.
First of all, of course, say the name of the
yes,
farm.
It's Les Jardins du Nant.
Okay.
La micro-ferme des Jardins du Nant.
Okay, Le Jardin du Nant. Here's an actual guy who speaks French saying the name. Okay.
Just next to the border of Switzerland.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And yeah, mainly we grow aromatics. We produce aromatics and.
Can you show me like examples, like
so
what's?
Here we go. I think we only have the rosemary here.
The rose. Okay.
There is a bit of Artemisia. This is agastache, but it's just some leftovers. It's really nothing compared to what we put. I think we're trying some clones of oh yeah, it's not working really well. Oh, one survived.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a clone of a special rose that's really has flowers that are very, very
okay.
That smell really good and are really
and
good.
That's the I recognize the rosemary. The two other things that you mentioned, I don't know what they are.
Yeah. And this is just leeches. No.
Yeah.
Leeks. Leeks. Here, and they've been put. As soon as you put them in, you put dry. Either we make some oil, some macérat huileux. In English, I'm not sure how we say it. Like just basically we infuse the flowers in oil for a long time, and then you can use the oils for a lot of. Yeah. So. More. It's a 30-liter alambic, so a distillator. I think you say in English.
Okay. Yeah. Probably.
You'll choose, of course, the flowers. Like if you want to do some. Yeah, so they basically make a lot of aromatics. They grow a lot of aromatic plants that they sell to like restaurants and coffee places, and they make oils with it, and I guess scented stuff with it. So it's really, really cool. He talks a bunch about that. As I said, I will have a video coming out on YouTube probably in a couple of weeks from now, because it does take time to process everything of this interview, and you're gonna hear it more, and he's showing me around. So he has a bunch of people that are staying here, nomads that are staying in tents and working away, and there is also this there's also this truck, which is a box truck, which people live in. So all of my friends from the US who lives in box trucks, there's some of those in Europe as well. So, and he's showing me like a bunch of stuff. He really has, there really is everything there, and I'm gonna say it soon. So he's showing me this garden, greenhouse, where they have tomatoes and bell peppers and cucumbers and pumpkins and aubergines, eggplants, right? And it's all very self-sufficient, which I loved. So this is not the end, but my phone got very hot, so it stopped filming for a while, and I had to make sure that it reached temperature where it worked. But let's see the end here. But my parents made this pond. Because actually the idea at the beginning was to make a really nice pond, like really good for biodiversity, bringing animals and everything. But they also wanted to use it for the water, to water the garden.
Yeah.
But they quickly realized it would be too much water that we would like dry out the pool, the pond every year.
Yeah.
So they didn't want that for all the animals that were living in it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's why we created the tank.
Okay.
Afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm sure animals also go to the tank, right? They don't know the difference.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think they prefer this place because,
Uh-huh.
we planted a really dense hedge around the tank.
Okay.
And there's a little fence, but of course some animals go still.
Uh-huh.
Of course, all the ducks and the birds and there's a bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, this one where we know it was more to have our parts of the deal too, you know.
Yeah.
Do that for the biodiversity, but we also need to do that.
You need water.
Yeah, also need water, so we'll do both.
Yeah.
And they can migrate here if they need to. But until now, I'm crossing my fingers. We
Uh-huh.
never dried out the tank because it's a really big one.
You have bees here.
Yeah.
Oh.
String a bit of plants around.
So as I said, they have everything. They have vegetables growing, they have fruit growing, they have aromatic plants, they have bees. It's really kind of cool. Let's see some more. So I want to get to the point where he's showing his tiny house, and then we'll be done with that. And this is another garden.
This is another garden. It's our vegetable.
Once again, vegetable garden, pumpkins, Swiss chards. Yeah. And this is the tiny house. Okay, now let's see your tiny house.
Yeah, tiny house.
Yes. This is the moment we've been waiting for.
Yeah. I was actually working on it earlier.
And this is a tiny house that is built on like a trailer.
So yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a trailer.
So yeah, it's the only thing I bought, all made up. So the trailer was the only thing that was already done.
So just like the bottom, just like the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And you built everything on top of it.
And I built everything on top of it.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just everything is in wood. Except for the metal part here, obviously.
Right.
The structure is wood. The isolation is wood. And then inside it's mainly wood.
You don't you didn't use the foam insulation?
No.
Okay.
No, I used it's a foam made of wood basically. It's like fiber.
Okay.
It's like these panels of 10 centimeters of fiber.
Like
wood fiber.
OSB?
No, not OSB. It's maybe I have. It's kind of like this, but it's wood. This is rock fiber.
Yeah.
Rock wool. And it's so the same product, but wood.
Yeah. So he just told me about a insulation product which I haven't heard of before. So that was pretty cool. Thank you for that information, Matthew. I might use it at some point. And let's see, going.
Okay, so I started. It's been a year. I'm on it.
Okay. Wow.
But,
you got all this done in a year. That's very, very impressive.
Oh, but I could have finished it a long time ago if I was full time on it. But like for example,
that's always the case.
Yeah,
but...
of course. Today I'm working on it, but it was been 3 months.
I've been building my bus ellipsis for 2 years, and I'm not even close to his level. This guy knows what he's doing.
I didn't do anything. For example, and then during the winter, well, yeah, there's the garden that takes a lot of time, so I can't spend a lot of time in it. But we're not far from it's not far from being finished.
Yeah.
Today I was putting the facades on the drawers and the door.
Amazing.
Still some. So yeah, it's really simple. It's like a really typical tiny house way. How can I say setting?
Oh wow, you have a bath here.
Except it's pretty big. So because we're not planning on going on the road with it, it's really mainly. It's on a trailer because we want to be able to move it in the garden from one place to the other if the plans change. For the while, it's going to be ours with Momo.
But maybe you could one day.
Why
not?
Why not? The thing is, since I knew I didn't really want to go on the road with it, I didn't really check out I didn't.
Like the regulations for the.
So it's all I did except for the
height.
no, the height is okay, at least in France.
He's talking about the weight. That the weight is probably over the limitations.
Yeah. The weight.
Yeah.
So yeah, where I know we're not supposed to pass 3 tons and a half. And I know we're way past that.
We're past that. Okay.
So I wouldn't. I wouldn't take the risk to go on the road, at least far.
Yeah.
Maybe to go to the other village for some reason, but but not too far.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'll just keep moving ahead. So as you can see, this is pretty nice work, and I was glad to see one of those things for in reality, because I don't think I've ever seen someone working on a tiny house. I think a lot of people are understanding now that first of all, it's much cheaper to live like this. It's much cheaper to have like a tiny house or a mobile house, something like that you can just live. And also, you cannot trust our grid forever.
Yes, exactly.
Like there are going to be some issues with the grid, and so if you can be off the grid, even if it's just like even if, like you said, like it's only like it's both, or it's like it's a good thing to have. It's a good card to have in your hand.
In an ethical way, because your footprint, your carbon footprint is diminished in such a huge way. That's just also like that. You're doing your best.
Yeah. It's like achieving both at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
so, what can I say more of this tiny house? It's going to be gas stove. Yeah. Okay. He's explaining some more things. He actually told me some more interesting things that I didn't know about tiny house construction, but we're not gonna get into that. So, as I said, this is Matthew, an awesome guy who really opened, really showed me his lovely farm, and was really nice to me and showed me his tiny house. So thank you very much, Matthew. If you're watching this, it has been awesome spending time with you, and I have learned a lot. Hopefully knowledge that I'm going to use as I go back to the US and continue working on my tiny house on wheels, which is my bus, Ellipsis. And of course, stay tuned. If you happen to be in Geneva, go to Matthew's farm, Les Jardins du Nord, and you can also look for them on Facebook and Instagram. It's the way it's spelled. It's LES, like Les Jardin. It's like JARDIN, DU, non, but it's spelled NANT. So go and look for them on Facebook, on Instagram. If you happen to be around Geneva, it's a very cool place to go to. They have like culture nights where they have pizza and drinks and music and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. And it's right there on the border with France and Switzerland. So it's actually, the farm itself is on the territory of France, but he took me like to the edge of the property, and he told me, well, beyond this edge is Switzerland. So right there, like right beyond the tree lines, this is Switzerland. So once again, borders, just imaginary lines that we made up, human beings. And it would have been great if all the borders in the world were just like that, where there is no border check, there are no scary people with guns who are checking your passport. There is just like, just go there, you're in another country, but it's all good because we're all part of this global society and we're all in peace with one another. Yes, going back to the original subject of peace. Good for me. So yeah, and stay tuned for the video that is going to come out with the interview, the shortened, edited interview with Matthew. And that's it. We have reached the end of the stream here. So this has been a long one. Yeah, we're almost 2 hours in, but it's I had a lot of experiences in Geneva, and there's a lot more where that came from, but I can't get to everything.
So stay tuned for my Facebook and Instagram, where I'm gonna keep posting and post more stuff about Geneva and the experiences that I've been through there, and write more about that, some more thoughts that I had. And yeah, and then join me next week when I'm going to talk probably about Zurich and some other things and experiences along the way, and some of my next plans, because this journey, this trip, is sort of going to take a turn really soon, and I'm still working on it, so I'm not gonna say anything, but I really hope it's gonna work the way I want it to work, and if it does, it's gonna be really exciting. And I think also kind of unique, and I think you're gonna like it. So stay tuned for that. Keep following me on all of the places: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Kick.com, TikTok, Ellipsis Bus, ELLIPSISBUS. Um, and tune into my live streams each and every weekend. Um, Hopefully, I will get to do them on both days of the weekend as well, Saturday and Sunday. For the moment, tomorrow, as I said, we are not going to have a live stream. Next week, we probably are, pending, of course, final further notice on my Instagram and Facebook. But our usual times, I'll remind you, are Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and Sundays 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Those are times by New York times, basically. So based on wherever you are in the world, make your adjustments based on those times. Um, and yeah, I hope to see you around in the next streams as well. I hope you keep following my journey. I hope you become a part of my story, so that I can also become a part of your story. And thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. And with that, this is Ronnie